And that is why you are Azimio roast. That's why you are Azimio roast.
That is what you're talking about here.
Sam, let's put it this way. You know, I laugh. You know, you never learn. You never learn. The same way you are falsifying facts last year with your Azimio is the same way you are falsifying it now. The same way you had skewed panels during that time is the same way you have skewed panel now. The same way you are using fake opinion polls that time that tell you that Azimio was winning is what I've seen in that panel now. Anyway, let's get back to the facts. Let me start with fuel. Now, on the issue of fuel, we have something called PDL, Petroleum Development Levy. The purpose of this PDL is what we call making hay when the sun shines. That let me accumulate some money as a buffer so that when the global dynamics are not in my favor, then I can be able to use that to cushion the consumer. That money was deducted from the consumer. Where did you want it to go? The right thing is, after you accumulate it, you tell them, Mr. Consumer, Mr. Motorist, Mr. Passenger, I have now accumulated so much money because you are the one who gave me this money. It is only right and fair that I give this money back to you. You know, so then you guys go all over saying it's a subsidy. It is not a subsidy. This money, we saved it from every liter of petrol to go to some kitty as a safeguard, so that now when the situation is not very favorable, we don't have our own crude oil, we don't produce oil, then that goes back there. Number two, because of the situation in the US, whereby inflation in the US is at the highest. You know, you look at the interest rate, 5% interest rate in the US market is never heard of. The whole world is suffering because of the actions of the US. You know what they did during COVID? They printed money. And you know what we are doing? We are all paying for that. You've had everyone. You've had President Ruto. You've had Antonio Gutierrez, who is not a member of Kenya Kwanza, talk about this unfair, practice by the U.S. and by the, global North that we in the South are suffering like that. So is this Antonio Gutierrez at one? So is this all those people who are talking about all these?
Did you know this during the campaigns?
Sorry, say that again.
Did you know this about during the campaigns about what the U.S. had done?
No, they had not done it that particular time. Since this year only, my friend, just go to the U.S. and look at the interest rate on what has happened in the interest rate. We've been talking about, I don't know where you guys have been, we've been talking about the unfair financial system in the world. Antonio Guterres was here, Japanese Prime Minister was here. We've talked about it all the time and saying, look, it is not fair to expect the global South to continue paying for the unfair practices of the North. And all these things that you mentioned, the whole thing of a fair financial system in the world is coming here, as it is in Uganda, as it is in all these countries. But you know what? What worries me is that when I talk to the actual people, and I think Dindi Nyoro has mentioned this, when I talked to the people who voted for us, overwhelmingly, how come they get this more than you guys who claim to be educated? How come these farmers, I was in Transo here last week, how come these farmers get it? How come they are telling me they are taking selfies in their maize plantations? They are actual people who voted for us. But because of snake oil salesmen in royal media and in all these other places, you continue getting, I have never seen, I've never seen people who are more consistent than royal media. You are consistent at getting it wrong.
Just hold on. We're just starting the conversation, and it would be important that we focus on facts. I have told you that the price of unga was 200 shillings plus September 2022. Today, it is a range of between 170 shillings to 200 shillings. Is that an Azimio figure, or is the reality in the market? But also, what do you explain to Kenyans? Even if there's a bumper harvest, the price of a packet of food has not come down.
I think some, because you're talking about facts, and facts are stubborn, you say it was 200 and
shillings plus, yes.
200 plus, it was 220.
Yes.
2 was 250. Add the subsidy, because that was after subsidy.
No, that was after the subsidy had expired.
No, that was after the consumer subsidy.
The subsidy had expired in August.
No, let's have a subsidy. Let us put a subsidy of like 20 shillings there. So the actual price, the real price, because it was still subsidy was coming from the pockets of Kenyans, was somewhere in the region of 270 shillings, down to 170. Before the harvest, we have not put consumer
Let us talk about
subsidies.
the facts. The subsidy had expired in August. I'm talking about the price 13th of September 2022.
Granted.